The sun descends below the horizon and the moon takes its place above the Atlantis Resort, host venue to the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure and the largest ever EPT field of 1,136 players. A field that's been reduced to just 18 players in 4 enthralling days. Now, these 18 players will engage in their penultimate contest, a contest where attentive deliberation, determined fortitude and fastidious guile are the prerequisite. 18 players that mustn't falter, mustn't weaken, but stay resolute and focused on the task at hand. A task that will ultimately lead to $2 million and the title of PokerStars Caribbean Adventure Champion.
Hello and welcome to the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas, a stunning place with an endless array of things to do when the sun goes down. Head over to the bar, you might just see Raymer and Isabelle Mercier sharing bad beat stories, or maybe you want to nip over to the spa, you could catch Noah Boken getting a massage after a stressful day's play, because these guys and gals are all out of the tournament and free to do whatever they want with their evening. But for the remaining players here tonight, it's all about business, the business of taking home the top prize of $2 million. So I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm heading back over to the tournament room to see how the cards fall.
So 18 players remain. That means 1,118 have been eliminated. And one thing's for certain, our champion will be one of this lot. Plenty of people are backing the birthday boy, Chris Kuykendall, our current chip leader. So let's take a look at the tournament leaderboard. This is the lower half of the table, mainly a North American field, but a few Europeans left, a Finn, a Belgian, a Norwegian, a Frenchman, and in the top half, again, although the Americans dominate, we have William Thorson flying the flag for Sweden, a Brit, Craig Hopkins, and Bertrand Gros-Pellier, Elke in third position. So we started with 1,136, we are now down to 18, so 3 tables of 6-handed poker will be played. $6.3 million in the prize pool, and the winner will get $2 million. So let's get started. We need to play down to our final 8. Average chip stack is 1.2 million. The blinds are 20,000 and 40,000 with a running ante of 4,000. Greg Raymer alongside me in the commentary box.
Cheers, James.
And a lot of new faces at our feature table, Greg.
Entirely new faces. We haven't seen any of these players yet in this series.
This is Ricky Forenbach from Milford, Connecticut. And this is Jacques Zaitchik. He's a Frenchman who's a close friend of Elke's. In fact, Monsieur Gros-Pellier has been coaching him on his poker.
Aha.
Okay, we got the 2 blinds left in the hand.
I guess he must have coached Elke on the video games, right? Doesn't seem too likely. You never know.
How much now?
This is Connor Allison, he's from Canada. And this is Marius Olsvik, he's Norwegian. Don't you think he looks like William Thorson?
I had a double with Jack 9.
Well, the same kind of hair, maybe. A little less blonde. I know William Thorson really well, so I can differentiate them
Marius
easily.
gets a walk.
William's like old-timer on the circuit nowadays at 24, 25 years old, whatever he is. You don't have to be very old to be an old-timer nowadays in the current poker world.
Marius Olsvik got a walk on that hand. Here's another Scandinavian. This is Petteri Pirinen from Finland. At 273,000 in chips. The aforementioned Ricky Forenbach, he's been playing for 4 years, cash games and tournaments. Let's head to the outer tables. We've got action, and it involves Elke.
No surprise there. Elke's always in the middle of the action.
Pierre Neville of Belgium pushing all in with the ace-10, getting called by Elke's pocket kings, no ace, and so we say goodbye to the Belgian. He goes out in 18th place, winning himself $48,000. And as much as I hate players in dungarees and lame sunglasses, this is possibly the worst outfit we've seen yet on the EPT. There is never an excuse for a pink tank top.
Oh, it's a nice little sweater, James. Come on. Give the guy a break.
Back to our feature table.
Marius folds.
Action's already underway. It's been raised up by Connor Allison with the King 6. And the action is now on Craig Hopkins from England. He's got ace-9.
He doesn't look very English to me.
What should an Englishman look like? Would you like him to have a bowler hat and an umbrella?
Yeah, that would help. Put a bowler hat on him, he'd definitely have the look. No, he looks German or something. He was kind of that determined, slightly angry look.
Craig calls.
Hey, we English can do determined and angry better than any other nation.
Connor and Craig.
So two-way to the
Craig's
flop.
gonna be first to act. Flop comes down.
No
7
help
of
for either
spades,
player.
5 of diamonds, deuce of clubs.
No help for either player, and Connor Allison was the one leading pre-flop. Leading the action, I mean.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to go check call, check
Craig
bet
checks.
fold here. That would be the expected action. Obviously, that flop helped in neither player at all.
140.
140,000
Connor
is
bets
the bet.
140,000.
Coming from the 22-year-old Canadian.
All right, I got the check and the bet correct. Let's see if we get the fold, or if Hopkins is going to decide that his ace-high is the best hand and make a little move here.
Craig describes himself as a professional gambler.
Connor's going to pick this one up.
And that's the value of aggression. I'm not too happy, though, with the way he played that ace-9. I mean, not that this isn't a common scenario, but if you think ace-9 is the best hand, then that flop doesn't change anything. Why not do a little something?
How much more?
And here they are, analyzing the hand and the hand before that, what you could have done, what you should have done.
Well, this is poker. We're poker players, and this is what we find interesting, as boring as it might seem to someone who doesn't play the game. In fact, maybe what we should consider doing is talking more about Shakespeare, right? Because everyone finds that thrilling and exciting to fill their days.
Well, speak for yourself, Greg. Personally, if I last longer than 5 minutes in a tournament, I love to talk to the other players about whether Hamlet was a hero or an anti-hero.
Who cares?
I do.
He's just another Scandinavian poker player type guy.
I don't think Hamlet played poker. Anyway, these guys are playing, and they're playing down to the final table of 8. How's that going to affect the game today?
Well, this is the bubble situation. I mean, there's the bubble when you get into the money, but in many cases, the bubble to get to the final table actually has more impact on the players. And they're actually more concerned about playing tight and conservative, not just to make that final table and tell their friends they did it, but that extra money as well.
There are 8 players right now we're focusing on. Back to our feature table.
That's what they're playing for. $2 million. Not sure whether they get to keep the treasure and pearls
Richard's
as well.
going to be first to act.
Certainly the trophy's part of the deal.
Okay, check folds.
Yeah, I need a big
So
trophy like
Connor.
that. You only get a bracelet for the World Series.
Only a bracelet. Oh, my heart bleeds. Queen 3.
Marius folds on the button. It's up to the small blind. Craig
Ace
now.
5 offsuit. Craig Hopkins from the UK. Lives in Chesterfield. His wife Lindsay is here to support
Craig
him,
moves
and he's
all
moved
in.
all in.
Well, that's the correct play, but that's only because his opponent has so few chips. I mean, 40,000 for the big blind, and Pettery only has 200,000 total in his stack, give or take.
Petri is called.
I don't know about this call, though, with 9 high.
195, it looks
Even
like.
if he knows Hopkins is bluffing, he's going to be behind almost all the time.
Okay, Craig.
But he is getting 3-2 on the call, and that makes up for a lot of evils.
And he's got 2 live cards.
Petri has 9 of clubs.
But he
8
will
of
need to
diamonds.
hit, otherwise he's out the tournament.
Given the cards, it was the correct call.
Flop comes down. Deuce of spades. 4 of
He
diamonds.
knew what his opponent was
deuce of
holding. He was
clubs.
supposed to make that call, but I
Ace
thought
is
it was
still
pretty
in the
iffy
lead with
anyways.
Craig.
9 or an 8,
Let's
though,
see
and he
the
turns
turn.
into the hero.
Turn card
Turn brings a deuce
is
of
a
diamonds.
deuce. So still an 8 or a 9 needed for survival.
All right, let's see the river. There you go. Now you know why I do this and I don't play, all right?
It's a
10 of
10,
diamonds on the
and
river.
so we say goodbye
That ace is going
to
to
our
win it for
Finnish
Craig.
player, Petteri Pirinen.
And this hand really highlights the problems of being a short stack, because you're often forced to make a decision, and all decisions are bad, which is the less bad of the two.
His chips go across to Craig Hopkins, watched on by wife Lindsay. Action continues here on the EPT, the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure, after this short break. Welcome back to the Bahamas. It's the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. The host venue is the Atlantis Resort in the capital of Nassau. Right now we're down to 16 players, and this is where the prize money really does jump. So 2 tables of 8, 3 new players in our feature table, including Elke and this guy, Joe Elpire, 1.7 million in chips. And another new player, the Canadian Glenn Chorney. I assume that's some kind of sports team he supports.
I don't know who that is. I don't recognize it. I'm not much of a sporting man, though. I don't pay attention to any of the team sports.
Oh, there's a guy who actually plays.
Do you not regard poker as a sport, right?
I said team sports, James. I don't watch many team sports, except for the World Cup of Poker.
Here's what they're playing for. 56,000 US dollars for the next man out. Of course, the winner will get 2 million. A raise now from Marius Olsvik. The Norwegian's got King, Queen of Spades.
Are you aware of who the current champions are in the World Cup of Poker, James?
Oh, could it possibly be the United States of America?
It could possibly be. Guess who was on that team, by the way?
Tom McAvoy?
He was on the team in previous years.
Well, it's a re-raise from Elke with the pocket queens.
Well, that's an obvious re-raise. Pocket queens, big hand. You're not going to just let it go.
I'm sorry.
And let's see what we get here. From Jacques. Is he going to find a hand? One good card?
I got you.
Nope.
I got you.
Not much of a hand.
One bad card.
One good card is almost worse than no good cards, because then you might get tempted. Wow, he's thinking seriously.
Yeah.
Aha.
Thinking seriously of folding.
It's like he wanted to make them sweat, even though he knew he wasn't going to play it. And we know also that takes away one of the outs, one of the other kings.
This is great. We need to keep just having stupid conversations. Like, yeah.
We get enough of those at the poker table already. Marius has to think here a bit. He's got King Queen suited, which is a really pretty hand, but problem is if Elke has any real hand, he's got that beat because he's either got a pair or an ace. So unless Elke's bluffing, King Queen is behind. The question is how far behind.
Yeah, the kind of hand that you can raise with, but if you get re-raised, it's tough to then call.
It is, unless you got lots of chips, because then you can play for the flush. You can play for the possibility of flopping the straight or the straight draw. Then you can use something. But when you're getting shorter stacked here, deep in a tournament, you just don't have much to do with that hand unless you don't get any heat back in return.
So the average stack now just over 1.4 million.
So many chips, it seems like so much, but the blinds are so big now with the $40,000 big blind that you really just can't do that much with it.
Going to be first to act.
Action is on Marius Olsvik. Not going to play this one. Craig Hopkins also folding. Glenn Shawnee.
It's folded around to
Didn't
Glenn.
look particularly happy with that hand.
105.
Elke's got ace king and he's
Elke
raising.
raises, he
Makes
makes
it
it
105,000 to play.
Oh, 105.
And you notice he raised quickly and he's just played the queens before aggressively.
About how much are you playing with? More than you. What? More than you. Yeah. See, that's a good answer. I was intimidated. I was scared by it.
I think Elke's been playing this hand fast and trying to make them think he's being overly aggressive to get action with his ace-king, but I guess it backfired that time.
Now, Jacques Zajac has Jack-Queen.
Jack-Queen, it's suited, it's a pretty-looking hand, but again, if Elke has a real hand, he's got queen-high beat.
Yeah, this guy knows Elke, though. He knows he can play any two cards.
That's true. He does know him, and it is very true that Elke can play any two cards when the time is right. And he can act like this, too, all relaxed and confident and trying to sell you that he's got a monster hand.
Why so much?
It's not much. It's 2040.
That's true. It's only like a 2.5 big blind raise. It's about what I would make it at this level, and it's less than a lot of people would.
I guess if you've got Jacques' chip stack, it looks like a lot.
That's true. He looks like he still has 500,000 chips, so if he thinks Elke is bluffing, he can shove in right now and Elke will have to lay the hand down.
Planning to get a read?
I saw your foot. we read the same book. You be ready to.
That sounds like Joe Navarro's book. I work with Joe at the World Series of Poker Academy is where we train, and he tells you the feet are what tell the truth, not the face, not the hands.
Really?
Yep, you look at someone's feet and then you can get a better read on them. We don't need to get a read on that, though. Two kings, 100% obvious what to do here. Now Elke's gotten quiet. He knows his opponent has a big hand.
Is Connor Allison going to push?
Make it 225 even.
225. I want in.
Whoa.
Call.
Okay, Connor went 225,000.
That was fast, but we got two big hands here.
Elke, again, didn't even stop to think. He just goes for it.
And Connor has called.
Well, sometimes, you know, you don't need to stop to think because you got a big hand like ace-king. You kind of know what you want to do. So sometimes you act fast to fool the opponent.
It's so sick.
We got ace-king versus two kings. Hold on a minute.
It's one time.
Connor Allison looking very nervous, even though he's 70% favorite.
I'd be nervous too because, you know, 30% is just isn't a comfortable number when you know you're going to lose and go broke that often.
All right, let's see the flop.
One time. One
He
actual
wants
time.
those kings to hold up, but there's the ace in the door. Unbelievable.
7 of clubs, 7 of spades,
One
ace of
time.
clubs.
One time
he's
my whole
moved
life.
ahead
That takes
now.
Connor down to this
Ace
one
of
out. One king in the deck, and he has to catch it if he wants to win this. He's got no other outs, no backdoor flush draws, no backdoor straight draw.
Jack of diamonds on the turn.
Just a king. There is only one in the deck.
Oh. All right, river card, please.
Flip it.
But it's a
Queen
queen
of
on the
spades
river.
on the turn.
And it's very unfortunate for Connor Allison. Again, he got his money in when he was ahead, but that's not going to help him feel any better here when he realizes that he was so close to $2 million, and instead he's only going to get a few tens of thousands.
Yeah, $56,000 he'll collect for finishing in 16th place.
Like, this is what I have to do to become, is that how you become a team pro? You just, yeah, but what's standard is let me win the pot one time. When it's like, you know.
Oh, it's a cruel game, isn't it?
That's why that's my nickname.
Sometimes it can be difficult to take, but for all poker players, exiting from a tournament is part and parcel of the game. With only around 10% of the initial starting field making it into the money, there's always going to be the high chance it won't be you.
I usually go to the emergency room to fix my broken hand after punching the wall, but no. I'm usually in a bad mood for 30 seconds to maybe 5 minutes, something like that, and then I'm fine and it's no big deal. I don't see how anyone who's played as much as me or more could still be getting really upset when they get knocked out of a tournament.
It's not something you really prepare for, but it's always good to have a plan B, just in case.
I like to do scuba diving, I like to watch movies, I like music.
To spend some beach time, or at least maybe the jacuzzi, go do a little jet skiing.
I've been to the gym a few times, the spa, the pool.
Some scuba diving.
They have cool water slides here.
I wish I could read a book sometime in my life.
I think they got a jacuzzi somewhere here.
The key, relaxation.
Yeah, that was money. I never really think about getting knocked out of a tournament early, but if I am going to get knocked out of a tournament early, it's always good to have like a plan B. And here in the Bahamas, this is not such a bad plan B. Golf is my new passion. Golf is where I get my adrenaline rush. Hitting a good shot, you know, the frustration, the fact that it's all me against the course, you know, that's where I get my rush. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, stop right there. When I come to the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure on the EPT, I'm doing some marketing, we're doing some little promo stuff, doing some interviews like this one, doing a lot more than just playing in the event. Easy game.
Once out of a tournament, today's professional players have less spare time on their hands than most, with all the sponsorship commitments to uphold. Interviews, advertising campaigns, biographies, DVD promotion, all part and parcel of the professional poker player's daily life. For the player that doesn't have sponsorship commitments and a little more spare time on their hands before they return home, high-stakes cash games, smaller buy-in tournaments, and a relatively new form of poker known as battleship poker are on offer. However, these side events are mainly aimed at the early eliminations and the new generation of poker player rather than the seasoned pro.
The new generation, the 18 and 20-year-olds, I think they're so consumed with the game. They love it so much that when they get knocked out of a tournament, you'll notice that they're all just playing more poker. When I was their age, when I was young, that's all I was doing too, was sleep, eat, breathe, poker, poker, poker. Eventually though, balance is key.
And EPT champions agree that having a plan B can be more beneficial to your game than going straight back to the table.
School actually started today, so I need to head on back.
Once I'm out of this, that's it. I'm not playing any more poker for this trip.
An equilibrium between rest and play is good advice to any aspiring player, especially when poker pays the bills.
All right, I guess we can say, forget the PGA, I'll stick with the PCA.
And speaking of eliminations, we've lost one of the most entertaining players we've seen on the EPT, out in 15th place.
Spade, spade, spade! I'm not excited. Spade! Spade! Oh, one more spade. Let's see how that works. I'm a youngster. Beat your table, baby. Yeah. Oh, so close. Looks up, baby. I'm an old man. Game over.
You've just spent the last few days slogging your guts out, but you must feel pretty good about how much money you got.
I'm kind of mad about the last hand. Ace King against Queen 4. I like trapping perfectly, and he hits a 4 on me, obviously. But I'm probably going to go to sleep. I've probably slept like 5 hours in the last 3 days.
Well, well done in getting this far, and go on and celebrate. Congratulations.
I'm going to go to bed.
So back to our feature table. Blinds 20,000, 40,000 still.
Okay, Elke's got the button. Joe and Ricky have got the blinds. Jacques will be first to
It's
act.
going to be on Jacques Zajic. You see a list there of all the venues on the European Poker Tour. Most of them actually being in Europe.
Not this one, though, but that's fine. This is a great event. Same thing, you know, PGA, European PGA Tour golf. They go to the Middle East and Asia, all over the world. Very deliberate player, Jacques.
Jacques passes.
Takes his time on all his decisions, it seems.
It looks as if
Ace,
Marius
that's a good card.
Olsvik has not got that many chips, and with Ace 10, that might be enough.
Ace 10 and...
I ask first if I get it. All in.
Marius is all in.
Yeah.
Maybe 250,000, 241,000 at sea. Yeah, that's more than enough, though, that, you know, 6 times the big blind, they shouldn't be calling unless they have a pretty good hand. You gotta have what you think is the best hand before you're going to call that much.
Joel Pyer 8-9 unsuited
Joe passes.
is not enough. In the big blind is Ricky Forenbach.
Yeah.
See, it's 200,000 more to win like 300,000. I mean, you know, you have to have a pretty decent hand here, even getting 3-2.
King 2 is not a pretty decent hand.
No. Problem is that sometimes your opponent's going to have a king and then you're crushed. If he doesn't have a king, then 2-1 is the best you can really hope for.
Call it the sixes. Sixes, not marketing.
I know. Elke, you cannot say that, and you know that.
Oh, sorry.
The irony is Olsvik's thinking, I'm not sure I really do want a call, but trust me, you do.
Well, as it turns out, he's about a 2-1 favorite, and Forenbach's getting about 2-1 in the call, so in a sense, you know, it's kind of 50-50. Call or fold, it's about the same thing mathematically.
Could you see yourself in this situation, calling with King Deuce? Well, that's what Ricky Forenbach's done.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't call with King Deuce because there's 2-1 is really the best I could hope for. And sometimes I'm going to be 3-1, 4-1 dog.
Better than 9-2.
That's marginal.
Yeah. I was correct.
Olsvik's disgusting.
So Ricky has King Deuce.
To be honest, I think 9 deuce is better than King Deuce to call with here because it's more likely to be 2 live cards.
He's at risk here. Okay, give us a flop.
King or deuce.
Well, Olsvik is in a great position here to double up.
Flop is Queen 9-9. A king or a
duck,
deuce.
a king or a deuce on the turn and river.
Turn card, please. It's a 7, so now a king
Just
or
the
deuce
river.
or Marius will double up.
Yep, only a king
River
or a
card, please.
deuce.
It's a king.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And Marius will be our 14th place finisher.
I can't believe that just happened.
Well, I can because I've seen it happen to me and others thousands of times.
Well, the weird bit was the call, to be honest with you, and I guess then it was in the hands of fate.
Well, I mean, he says it's a marginal call. I wouldn't be celebrating. When I call with a junk hand and get lucky, I don't celebrate.
Cheers for that.
He's young, we'll forgive him.
That's a king on the river, though.
Oh, someone give him a hug.
Well, like I said before, I mean, it's always more painful on the river. Somehow it just hurts that much more.
Let the cards dictate it.
Okay, Craig's got the button, Glenn and Elke have got the blinds.
Never.
We feel his pain.
Joe's under the gun.
Joel Pyre's first to speak here.
I raise.
He's going to raise with the pocket deuces.
Got it.
105.
105,000 is the bet.
Joe raises to 105.
Still Elke's raised number.
The action's on Jacques in the 3
Jacques
seat.
going to object to it as, why so much?
Well, he was schooled last time. He was told that's not too much anymore.
He is short stacked. But is he at a stage where he wants to play any ace?
Well, yes and no. I mean, he is in late position. You know, his opponent might not have a big hand here.
Jacques folds.
Tell you what, though, when you start looking like that and thinking like
Action's
that,
on
you look
Craig.
weak. You can't do all that and then push in and expect him to fold.
Craig passes.
Got to save that act for when you have aces and you want to call.
Glenn is all in.
Oh, and a messy all-in from Glenn Shawnee.
Well, you notice his stack is mostly the yellow chips, so he really doesn't have that many chips.
I didn't mean to knock anything over.
Do you have any idea how much it is?
Well, they have to restack it to count it. We estimate it's about 700,000.
It doesn't look like that much at all.
He could have just said all in. He didn't have to shove all his chips in
Joe
that
folds.
way.
Glenn takes down the pot.
Yeah, but that again, you know, how you make the bet communicates to your opponent whether you're strong or weak. So sometimes you do that to look one way or the other.
Well, that was such a strong push. He ended up knocking him over. Joe Alpaya gets away from the hand. Action continues after the break here on the European Poker Tour.
A warm welcome back from the Bahamian capital of Nassau and the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. Now, if any of our remaining players are losing their concentration a bit, then the sight of all this cash should help to focus the mind. The $2 million first prize really underscores how serious this event is. Last year's winner, Ryan Dowd, went home a millionaire from the Caribbean. Who's it going to be this year? It's definitely one of 13.
And we will play today until we are down to 8. That will be our final table.
That's my rail.
5 players to lose before play can end for this session.
And this is one of the most tense
Ricky
times of
passes.
the tournament when you're getting close to that final table.
Tight.
Some players will loosen up and go for broke. Other players, the majority of players
Jacques
really,
passes.
will become way tight because they just want to get there so badly. And they don't think too much about how many chips they'll have
Craig
once they
folds.
arrive.
Ace of diamonds.
See, a lot of players have folded. He's going to raise no matter what that other card is.
It's an 8
Glenn announces a raise to 110.
in late position.
Yeah, whenever you're on the button here, it's been folded to you, you've got an
Elke
ace.
folds.
You pretty much have to play the hand, and the best way to
around
play
the
it is
Joe
to
in the
raise
big
it.
Elke's folded his small blind. Joe Alpaya is in the big blind, and he's got Queen 9.
How much more you got?
Glenn Shawnee did not look comfortable there, did he?
No. See that close-up, his eyes blinking? Definitely a nervous look.
5, 6. I call. I'll vote it.
Joe Alpaya calls the raise.
Joe calls.
So we will see a flop.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit of psychological warfare, though. Ask him how much he's got before he calls, just to kind of make him uncomfortable.
Flop is 9 of diamonds,
Joe hits
deuce of
top
clubs,
pair.
8 of spades. Joe is first.
That's a big flop for both these guys.
Second pair for Shawnee could get him into trouble.
I mean, he figures I got second
checks.
pair, top kicker. There's not that much chance that Alpaya's got a 9 or an overpair. So he's going to think he has the best hand with his pair of 8s.
Joe has checked.
I think this bet is automatic. You can't give a free card here because any king, queen, jack, 10 could beat you.
Glenn bets 160.
I'm all in.
Joe announces that
There's
he's
a
all
check
in.
raise.
I call.
Well, that was fast.
Glenn says call.
Shawnee doesn't even give it any
Show us,
thought.
guys. Somebody's got to turn up their cards.
And he immediately
Joe
sees
has
that he is
queen
behind.
9.
He needs to hit an ace
Glenn
or an
has
8.
ace 8.
And he looks a bit disgusted with
Glenn
himself
is the
for
one
making that
who's at
call so
risk.
quickly without
He
even
needs an ace
thinking
or
about
an
what his
8,
opponent might have.
Or he will be out of the
I mean, he
tournament.
might have thought it through, and he's going to make that decision the same
Turn card,
way,
please.
even after a lot of thought on many occasions. But
It's a 9. He is
Well, trip 9
That
for Joe
makes it
Alpaya.
dead. That is dead.
Absolutely. The deal is done on the turn. Glenn Shawnee is our 13th place finisher. And I think Joe's got some fans here in the Caribbean.
he's got a couple there for sure. And they're loud enough for a whole crowd.
These guys are crazy.
He wanted to give that away, dude.
Huh? That's the only reason I call. He's trying to give me his chips for like the last 2 hours. Yeah.
And now they are yours.
Kind of impolite to say it when he's standing right there, though.
I knew
$80,000 for finishing 13th.
He didn't even think about it.
I know.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I observed as well. It was a very quick decision to call the all-in with just second pair. Here's a familiar face. It's Hartigan joining our feature table with 1.7 million in chips.
Yeah, a lot richer since we saw him last.
Passes, he's back at the table with us.
Action.
1.8.
Craig Hopkins.
Somewhere around there.
It's around to Craig.
Last remaining Englishman in the tournament. He's got Jack 10.
How you boys doing?
Craig raises to 110.
110,000 for that.
Joe folds.
About how much are you?
Very serious look on his face, Mr. Hopkins.
1.1 million behind. No more cameras?
Ricky Foran back. Also not going to play, and so.
And our short stack wizard, Jacques.
He's posted the big blind. And he's going to decide whether to call the raise. That was not a genuine wow, and that's why 8-5 offsuit is not a hand.
You beat me to it, James. I'm going to say, if that was the wow of seeing aces, I'm going to be completely fooled.
5-8. What can I do? I don't see.
13 minutes.
I have nothing. Nothing.
Oh, poor Jacques Zajic. Not only does he look like a Bond villain, but he can't find a hand. It's tough being the short stack, isn't it?
Well, your options are limited. I mean, basically it's all in or fold poker, and if you're not getting any cards, you know, you just have to keep folding and hope that you're going to find something soon.
On the other hand, Joe Elpire does have the chips to play. He could afford to make that speculative call with the Queen 9 and then take out a player.
Yeah, apparently, you know, he seems to think that, you know, he said that player's trying to give me his chips all day. So I guess he just decided Queen 9 isn't much of a hand, but if I hit anything, then it's probably going to be ahead of his, you know, semi-random hand that often will have missed the flop. So once he had top pair with the 9s, he didn't worry about running into pocket 10s, jacks, any of that stuff.
Well, let's see if Jacques Zajic can cling on or hopefully double up.
So the action continues.
Only 6 players now at the table, and of course that means more action because you can't be quite as selective when you're only seeing 6 hands per orbit instead of 8 or 9 or 10.
Absolutely, hands like ace-8 and ace-9 become a lot more powerful than they would at a full-handed table.
Exactly.
All right, let me try this. Do this for my boy Lee.
Someone's swimming in a lot of confidence right now, isn't he?
I wish I had that much confidence when I was 19.
Still that. He's blind.
Jacques Zajic is letting himself get really short stacked. Pocket 4s. Is he going to make a move? Yes, he is. All in, he says.
In hindsight, I bet he wishes he hadn't said all that, though, about let me steal these blinds, because now they might be more inclined to believe it. And pocket 4s is not a hand where you want to call.
Just in case you're in any doubt, Jacques Zajic is all in.
It's almost exactly 400.
And Hartigan is showing interest in this pot.
Okay.
No. We've counted it in English, we've counted it in French. 400,000.
I'm going to call you.
Why?
I guarantee you he's going to get called.
I call.
Why?
That is not the hand he wanted to run into.
I like his reaction, though. It's pretty funny.
Okay, the others fold. Okay, he announces a call. Turn him up.
Hey, we see some bad beats on the EPT. We know anything can happen, but realistically, Jacques Zajic has not much of a chance of staying in this tournament any longer.
Jacques is the one who's all in. He is at risk.
It's really the only time I have some hands got fucking 8. It's so crazy.
The flop is 10-8-8.
He's looking for a 4.
Yep, running diamonds won't help because Khan has a diamond himself.
Turn card, please. 9, he needs a 4.
4 and only a 4. There are 2 in the deck. He has a 5% chance. It's not to be.
And Jacques will be the 12th place finisher.
He's taken it smiling, and I admire that. I think he's enjoyed himself. This is his best tournament result to date. He's not been playing poker for long.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you.
Very well done, sir.
And there's his friend Elke. And Jacques telling him to win the tournament. Go on and win it. $88,000 for 12th place. And here's how they stand in chips. Elke is the chip leader, 3.8 million. Look at the domination of the Americans. Chris Kuykendall, Joe Alpire, Evan Tyndall, Hafa Khan, David the Dragon Pham still in the game. 2 million in chips, 6th position. William Thorson in 8th. So looking at that table, Greg, what price are you going to give me on a European winning this title?
Okay,
well, I need to get all the chip counts down to the penny, and then I'll give you the mathematical answer to all that, because you know, we'll just add up the Europeans' chips, divide them by the total number of chips in play, and that's the chances of a European winning, because you know, some of these players are a little more talented, a little more experienced than others, but I think all that will kind of average out.
Joe calls.
Well, here we see a Frenchman up against an American. Elke's raised, Joe Alpire's called.
Ricky passes.
I guess Joe likes queen 9 suited. It was a lucky hand for him in spades.
All right.
His card is going to re-raise with the ace-jack, which is the correct play.
Certainly, I mean, at a full table, that would be a very iffy decision, maybe even wrong most of the time, but 5-handed, ace-jack is a big hand.
Absolutely.
And, of course, you know, your first raiser is Elke, your chip leader, someone who's known as being very aggressive, so he doesn't have to have a monster hand to make the first raise at a 5-handed table. Alpaya only called, so unless he's trapping, he can't beat ace-jack. You know, it's a good play. Plus, he'll find out where he's at here, because he's either going to win this pot right now or he's going to know he's behind.
It's 215
He's made it
more.
325,000 total.
Whoa. Okay, Craig folds. No,
Elke has folded.
Everybody folds.
And Joe Alpire folds as well. The re-race gets through. Hafa Khan takes the pot.
Again, it shows the advantage of aggression. Anytime you're aggressive, there's a chance your opponent's going to fold, and you're going to win right now.
The blinds have gone up 25 and 50,000. The running ante of 5,000. The pressure being put on those short stacks.
I mean, as you can see here, too, we got 100,000 chips in this pot before anyone's even made a decision.
Kings are better to 3-bet.
So even though the average stack right now is well north of 1 million, just winning the blinds and antes is a significant fact. I mean, it grows your stack by 5 or 10%.
Let's see what I added.
Oh, the old queen 6 offsuit, one of my favorite hands. Not, as they say.
Craig Hopkins just calling from the small blind. Elke checking his option in the big blind. Being sneaky with the ace-3.
Well, he figures that if he flops an ace, that Craig is never going to put him on it because he didn't raise pre-flop.
Going to be first to add.
Well, he's flopped a flush draw here.
And he'll probably play it very aggressively. Anytime Elke has a big hand or a big draw, he's going to play it fast. So I'm surprised he didn't bet there.
Turn card's the 3 of spades.
No, I don't think Craig Hopkins is going to put any chips on his pot.
Well, Elke has to bet here somewhere just to protect his hand. There's too many cards that can beat. You know, he can have the best hand right now with his pair of 3s almost all the time, but almost any card in the deck that doesn't improve him is going to beat him.
Elke takes this one down.
And there's Craig Hopkins' wife Lindsay watching him lose that pot to Elke. All he lost though was 1 big blind.
We won't play here, and then there's another camera right there.
Let's see what's happening on the outer table. Paul Holub of the USA is all in. He's got King 10 of spades. David the Dragon Pham 8-5 of spades. So he's got the better flush draw, but on the river, David Pham makes the straight, knocking out Paul Holub. He gets $96,000 for finishing 11th. So we have 2 tables of 5 now.
For a week.
When we get down to 9, they'll merge to 1 table, but strictly speaking, that won't be our final table. That'll happen when we get 8.
Exactly. They'll be at 1 table, but they don't call it the final table. When I won the main event, Marcel Lusk finished in 10th place, and we played as 1 table of 10 the night before, but when he got knocked out, that's when it became officially the final table.
Craig Hopkins first to
Craig's
speak
gonna raise.
with
He
Queen
makes it
Jack.
145,000 to go.
Again, five-handed, this is a much stronger hand than it would be
145, oh, excuse
on a
me,
full table.
145.
Exactly, much stronger.
How much you got behind approximately, sir?
Hartigan wants a count of Craig's chips.
What's the raise to?
140. I'm all about it.
I call.
He's going to call the raise with Jack 8.
145, right?
Calls, yes. 145,000. He's called.
We know what's going to happen if it's a Jack high flop.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the real problem here. I mean, I don't think this is a bad call at all with Jack 8 suited. It's a hand with a lot of potential to make straights and flushes, as well as just the same pairs that anything can make. But in this case, he's in a dominated position.
Craig has got an open-ended straight draw. A 9 or an ace would make him a straight. Lindsay had a look on her face that said, "Don't waste your chips."
I tell a lot of spouses get that look on their face because they feel the pain of the loss more than they enjoy the win, it seems.
Craig
nice
bets.
to see Craig playing his draw aggressively. 205,000.
Break it down for
Tense moment here. I think that clearly, again, is a correct bet. You've probably got the best hand. Your opponent's probably going to fold. You don't want to give him a free card. He would hate to show weakness by checking the flop and then get bet into on the turn.
FC folds.
Because then he might have to throw his hand away and he might be ahead.
Bet.
Show one, Craig. For TV.
He's not going to show his hand. He knows better than that.
Knows it all. TV would be the sickest poker.
No free information for you guys. Welcome back to the Atlantis Resort here on Paradise Island. It's the 5th time the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure has been held in the Bahamas, a tournament that's vastly becoming a favourite amongst the players, the media, and now our crew's calendar. And you can certainly see why. 10 players remain, 5 on the outer table, 5 at our feature table.
Richard's going to be
Blind
first
still
hand.
25 and 50,000, the running ante 5,000. And the action is on Ricky Foreign-back. He folds.
Richard folds.
Hartigan has Queen 7. Remember, 5-handed, they're going to play a lot more than they would normally in a full table.
For calls to 50,000.
Although I would expect him to raise there, Greg, rather than just limp.
Yeah, at this stage, and especially 5-handed, anytime you're going to be the first one to enter the pot, raising is probably the best thing to do. Because there's always a chance everyone's going to dump their hand and you're just going to take down the blinds and antes, which is quite a bit of money. Here, though, I mean, he's gotten a 4-way pot. He actually has the best hand, but it's only because of a rare coincidence here that everyone else is kind of counterfeiting each other that he's such a big favorite.
The flop comes down. King of spades.
Wow, what an action flop. Straight draws for 2 players. Second pair for Khan. Gut shot straight for Elke. I mean, everyone has something on this flop.
Joe Elpire is betting his straight draw.
And he looks concerned too. If Khan was looking up and saw that look on his face, he'd probably be raising here, because he would know that Elpire was like, "Oh man, come on, don't do that to me."
It's over to Craig on the button.
Craig has exactly the same straight draw as Joe Elpire.
Interesting situation here, because if he decided just to make a move with his straight draw, he could shove all in here, and they probably both have to fold. Khan would have to give him credit for a better hand, and Elpire would decide that he doesn't have the right price to pursue a straight draw.
Craig calls as well. Action's over to Elke.
Elke's got the worst draw. It's going to be funny if a 9 hits. I mean, if it'd have been funny if a 10 had come. I meant for Elke to make the gut shot straight, you know, with the worst hand.
Elke gets out of the way.
Wow, they both made their straight. We're going to see some fireworks here. They both have the nuts right now, and Khan just picked up the flush draw.
250,000 he bets.
$250,000 is the bet. And surely now, Hartigan will throw away that Queen 7.
Well, I mean, if it had been any other 9, he certainly would have. But now he's got the flush draw in addition to second pair. So he's thinking any spade comes, I win. And I might win if a queen or a 7 comes off. You know, and he's getting quite a good price here. I mean, there's basically he's getting 3 to 1 on the call.
Raise. In fact, he's going to raise.
Wow. Now that is a little bit daring. You can see how Paya doesn't look comfortable, even though he's got the nuts right now. And obviously Hopkins isn't going anywhere behind him.
He's sitting there thinking, this is great. I've got the nuts. I've got a player betting, a player raising. I can now just move all in.
So he's going to do a little acting here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Think about it a little bit. Don't want to make it so obvious that I have the nuts.
Okay, Hoff has raised it. He's made it 500,000 to go now.
And Hoffa also has just committed himself to this pot, because now when the rest of the money goes in, after Hopkins calls or pushes, okay, it is pushes, Khan's going to have to call now for the price.
Joe's moved all in.
He knows he's beat. He knows one or both of them have the straight, but he has to call for the flush draw.
Hoff is going to fold.
He's managed to get away from it. The fact that Joel Paya moved all in as well.
Wow, I'm surprised he got away from it, because now he was getting the right price.
You have Jack 10?
So they're going to show they've got exactly the same hand, and they're going to split this pot.
Jack of diamonds, 10 of diamonds for Craig. That gives him the straight.
There's no flush draw for either player. The river card's immaterial.
It's immaterial, except that if Hoffa Khan would have played, he would have made the flush and knocked them both out.
Oh.
And he was getting the right price at that point, I think. I mean, I don't know because we don't have the exact chip counts, but I think he was probably getting the right price to call, even though they were both all in and he knew he was beat. Regrets and regrets from Hafiz Khan.
But I had a spade. I had a spade.
I played that piss board,
so I knew no one has flush draw.
Oh, believe you, thousands wouldn't. Joel Paya is 19 years old. He plays online as Big Egypt. In fact, he qualified online to be here. He also played in last year's Monte Carlo Grand Final. Getting close to getting our final table of 8 players. Just 2 more to lose. Next man out gets $104,000, but of course the winner, $2 million.
And those are the kind of cards you need if you want to be the winner. Pocket kings, always a beautiful sight. Nowhere near as pretty as aces, but still so beautiful.
Going to make it 140,000.
Raises it up to 130,000.
Actions on Elke.
Trouble for Bertrand. Ace-Jack is such a big hand at a 5-handed game, and he's not going to give his opponent credit for something as strong as pocket kings.
Re-raises, makes it 340,000.
Stone Cold Nuts.
Actions on Joe.
The Jack
Folds.
spades.
Over to Richard. He folds as well.
Yeah, he knows he's not folding this hand. He knows. The only question is whether he wants to call and slow play or push in. But he's given us a little bit of an acting job again.
Don't worry, Craig, you've still got the kings.
Yeah, whatever. I just misplayed the hand.
That's so random.
You can see how focused Elke is. He's really paying attention here.
He says all in.
Craig's announced all in.
Well, this is a real decision. He knows Craig has a real hand, but the question he's asking himself is how often does Craig have something like ace-king or ace-queen that has him dominated, or pocket aces, kings, queens, and how often does he have something else like pocket 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s? I don't know. Can he have a hand where I'm getting the right price?
Going to pick up the pot.
Elke chooses to fold.
I think that's the right decision. He wasn't getting enough of a price to call because most of the time he was going to be dominated, and only some of the time would he be in a coin flip. Plus, he's been able to steal a lot of chips at this table, and that means that why lose most of my stack now when I can just keep grinding these guys down slowly?
So Craig Hopkins, having won that last pot, is going to be under the gun
Joe has
here.
the dealer button. Richard's the small blind.
First player to speak.
It's up to Craig.
And he will fold. Elke
I forgot we're on camera.
also going out.
Whatever. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
So just the blinds left. Ricky Foran back in the small blind.
Richard calls.
He says call with the queen-6 offsuit. And Hafa Khan will see a free flop with his jack-3.
Well, I'm sure no one has any problems with the way Khan's playing the hand so far. Ricky is iffy with queen-6 offsuit.
That down is what I was good at on the TV paper.
And the flop comes down, 10 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. Richard checks.
They both check.
Yeah, they're both just playing to make a big hand here.
Turn card brings the ace of diamonds.
That's a flush for Hartigan.
Richard checks.
It's got a flush, but it isn't much of one. So I don't think I would bet it. I would just check and then hope that Ricky bluffs on me the next street on the river.
Richard folds. Alpha picks up the pot with the bet.
I mean, a pretty, nothing hand, but it kind of shows lack of aggression right now for Fornbach, that he's not playing a little, how come he didn't bluff the turn, make a little bet, try and take that pot down.
I'm trying to figure out what I had.
Damn it, did he have a diamond? He probably had like the nut low.
It's like, no, I didn't have a diamond.
You had a pair? Maybe?
No, I didn't have anything.
Yeah, all right, so stop acting all serious.
I know.
Who's
I got to act for TV. I folded the queen of diamonds there.
You gonna throw a limp in there or what? You gonna mix it up?
Well, that's what I call a coulda, woulda, shoulda hand. If I'd played the queen of diamonds, I would have had a flush with the queen.
Well, that's irrelevant, as you know. I mean, when you're playing poker, you have to look at the facts that you have available at the moment. What do I know about these guys, these cards, this situation? Make the smartest decision, and then you got to live with it. You can't worry about what happens, whether it's good luck or bad luck after the fact.
Well, what did happen after the fact is we had a winning hand with a flush with the 3 of diamonds, a 3 high flush. You can't feel too confident about that.
Well, I remember in the 2005 main event, I cracked aces with a 2 high diamond flush. I think it was diamonds. Whichever way, I cracked those aces, and that's what counts.
We'll get back to our feature table in just a moment, but let's take a look at the poker room floor.
It's an all-in from Evan Tyndall. He's got pocket tens. David the Dragon Fan has ace-king. And there is an ace on the flop. Tyndall moves behind in the hand. He needs to hit a 10 on the river. It doesn't come. He is our 10th place finisher. He gets 104,000. David Fan wins a big pot. And that means we're down to 9 players. That means the remaining 9 will now play at our feature table. That means we'll be watching the whole field after this break. During which time some players will get refreshments. Others will eat a nice Granny Smith.
And showed your hand and went to showdown.
Welcome back to the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. Now, for centuries, marauding pirates have been drawn to the secluded beaches and tales of buried treasure here in the Bahamas. And you know what? Hundreds of years can go by and some things just never change. Right now, we have 9 players doing everything humanly possible just to make it through today, to get to the final table and be in with a chance of winning the lion's share of the $8.5 million prize pool. But who is in with that chance? Let's find out.
Here is the chip count, the final 9 players, and David the Dragon Fan has the chip lead, 5.7 million almost. Chris Kuykendall celebrating his birthday today, 2nd position with 3.5 million. The short stack is Christian Harder, 1.1 million.
This is a big spot for David Fan. He's been here many, many times. He's got the chip lead. He knows everyone's going to play tight so they can come back tomorrow, or almost everyone's going to play tight. We're going to see a lot of aggression from David right now, a lot of stealing.
And of course, we've gone from being 5-handed to suddenly 9-handed. Everyone's going to adjust their play again.
Well, and they will adjust. I mean, they've gone through this for several days. All these players know what they're doing. And the real question right now is who's playing to win and who's playing to make the final table. Because once it's clear you're playing to make the final table, David is going to just go after you like crazy.
It's a raise from the birthday boy. Chris Kuykendall has Queen 10 of diamonds. He makes it 150,000 to play.
It's on David.
10 Jack, he's got a decent hand, a playable hand. I would expect him to re-raise because right now he says, Kuykendall, you don't want to go broke. And he goes, I'm not worried about that. I'm trying to win. And that's it.
David raises.
Here comes the re-raise from the Dragon.
If you get a hand, you're going to be
425,000.
David makes it 425,000 total.
9-4 apart.
Yep, easy
Everybody's
decision
folded
there.
around to Richard on the big blind. Folded as well.
And now we're going to see whether Kuykendall is playing to make the final table or whether he's playing to win.
$275,000.
Of course, Queen 10 suited, even suited, isn't that much of a hand. He's got to worry that David can have him beat with just a bad ace. So even if David's kind of bluffing, so to speak, he's still got queen high beat.
Pham takes it down.
And he's got that little grin on his face. He's like, okay, I'm in control, baby. I'm the chip leader. I know what I'm doing, and you boys got to learn it.
If you folded, he 3-bet you. If you 3-bet you, he folded.
One thing I'll say for all these guys, Greg, they're enjoying themselves.
It's fun. I mean, it is a lot of fun to be in a spot like this. It can be very nervous and tense, but it is a lot of fun. And I, want to get back there so bad. And every time you enter a tournament, that's all you want, is to get there in these moments where you're competing for the big money.
On me?
William Thorson folding.
This has got to be done before sundown?
Yes, we've colored up the yellow
Ace
chips.
queen this time for Chris Kuykendall. It's more of a hand.
Yeah, if he gets re-raised by David and folds this one, then we know he's too much in survival mode.
150,000.
And it looks like David's going to get another raise ready.
There's no redraw. Yeah, this is.
Oh, it was all for show.
David folds.
And you saw that little grin on his face. He was doing it for show there. I was having fun.
What a wicked man.
You kind of reinforce that thought in their mind. You better worry about me every time you make a move, because I'm right here ready to move back and take it away from you. So even though he was just having fun, he was also sending a serious message.
Big blind goes out.
This time the raise gets through. This time the pot goes across to Chris Kuykendall.
Picks that one up.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I started
You're killing me with these raises. Call, man. You can call. You have so many chips.
He didn't want to see a re-raise from David Pham, even though he had a better hand than last time.
I can't help but notice, Greg, that David Pham likes to take his time with his decisions, likes to play with his chips and give the impression that he's about to re-raise. Is that a tactic?
Oh, very much so. I mean, players like David, especially those with lots of live experience, they do that kind of stuff because they know that if they do that, if they take their time counting chips, looking like they're threatening to raise, that might make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then the next time you don't want to play a hand with him because you want to avoid that feeling of discomfort. Now, personally, I really don't like that tactic very much because it slows the game down to a crawl. I'd rather get more hands and more action that way rather than kind of, knitting out that little bit of edge there.
But I can understand these players might be a bit intimidated. They know the dragon, they know his reputation.
Well, that kind of tactic works, and then when you're someone like David, if you're other, well-known player who everyone considers a great player, you got to use that fear to your advantage because people don't want to play against you because they're like, this is not the guy to mess with. Let's pick on the weak.
Oh, we are certainly enjoying watching David Pham play poker.
We need to lose one more player and then we will have our final table of 8. And that's when we start paying out the really big prize money.
David makes it 150,000.
No surprise, I would expect David to open with a raise here almost every time it's folded to him.
I call.
Maybe every time.
Joe calls.
His raise has been called by Joe Alpaya with the pocket 7s.
I think Joe is figuring that if he can flop a set here, he's going to get paid off in full, that David's going to keep trying to blow him off the hand, and that he's going to double up if he flops a set.
On the small blind.
So he's decided to just call, see the flop.
Up to Chris, he folds.
Certainly in many instances, he might re-raise.
Two players in the hand,
if he's going to play
David
that
and Joe.
hand. Try to win it pre-flop. Let's see if we get our action flop here.
The flop comes down. Queen of spades, 8 of spades, ace of diamonds.
That flop should end it all because Alpaya doesn't have his set, and David has a pair, and even if David didn't have a pair, he's going to bet pretty much every flop. And with the ace and the queen and the 8,
250,000 and Joe has folded.
I don't see
David
Joe
picks
doing
this
anything
pot
but
up.
folding here. Yep.
1 overcard, that's bad. 2, that's horrible. 3, that's an instant fold.
Well, the problem there is that even if he was right and David was just, bullying around the table pre-flop, he could have had an ace, a queen, or an 8 in his hand, and then boom, it's over. So he wasn't going to go to war after he didn't flop a set. If he was going to go to war with 7s only, he needs to do that before the flop. Maybe a little food delivery there, it looks like. Yum, yum.
Yeah. I have issues with players eating at the table. But we haven't got time to go into that
raises
now.
makes it 125,000.
Let's avoid all of your OCD issues, okay, James?
They put dinner breaks in these tournaments for a reason. Pocket fives in the hand of Hartigan. The raises come from Elke with the ace-10.
Yeah, see, Elke is one of the players that I know from prior experience isn't going to back down just because we're on the bubble for the final table. He's still going to be playing to win. And this man as well, William Thorson, he's been here many times, won tournaments, been many final tables. He knows the importance of continuing to push for the win.
In this hand, he's got the power of position. He's got the dealer button in front of him, so he'll be last to act on all future betting rounds. He will call the raise as well with King-Queen suited. And Christian Harder in the big blind looks down at 8-7 suited. Is he going to come along as well?
He's just trying to decide, you know, is this enough of a hand? Am I getting enough of a price that I can afford just to take off a flop and hope to catch a miracle and maybe double or triple up? And I think it's a pretty marginal decision. I don't think he's wrong if he calls. I don't think he's wrong if he folds.
Christian calls.
Wow, we have a four-way pot.
All right, so we're going to have 4 players in the hand.
Either that or everybody has a hand. So.
Now we can see the flop.
What kind of a flop are we going to get?
Christian's going to be first to act. Flop
A full house for Hartigan.
9 of diamonds. Christian checks. Elke's checked. It's over to Hoffa.
Straight draw for Christian Harder. Not much for anyone else.
No. Got runner. You know, we got the gut shot straight for Christian Harder. We got the runner straight for William Thorson. Elke can only win if it comes ace-ace or 10-10. So not much going on for him. I mean, Khan's going to win this pot almost certainly, and he's probably going to take it down right now because I don't think anyone else is going to do anything here unless for some reason they think he's bluffing. And I don't see why anyone would feel that way in this spot. So he's getting ready to make a bet here, and that bet ought to take this pot down.
His bet is 300,000. It's more than half the pot.
Bet 300,000 from Hoffa.
Quickly gets rid of William Thorson.
Well, William's shaking his head, and it's like, be glad that one of those nines wasn't a king or a queen, because then you would have gone broke on the hand.
Fold, right?
Everyone's folded. You've won.
You know I gotta pull out.
Show one, show one.
God, they want him to show. He's
there. He shows the pocket fives. He shows the full house.
The full house.
You can't believe he didn't get action.
That was a good flop to check because, I mean, you've already got the full house. You don't care if someone makes a straight or a flush. You want them to because then they'll pay you off.
Yeah, what the hell?
You know, what if a 6 was going to come off on the turn?
It's not going to happen again, you know what I mean?
What the hell?
I was going to say gay, but...
Should have checked like a fish.
I would say that.
I find it hard to feel sorry for someone who's just won a pot.
Well, but that was an opportunity to maybe collect several 100,000 chips, maybe $1 million or $2 million, you know, and it's gone. If he checks there and a king comes off, a queen, an ace.
Exactly, he's only got himself to blame.
You know, if Christian can make his gut shot straight, all of those would have won him a lot more chips. And, you know, I would have checked that flop in most instances if I were him there. Let's hope someone else either has a hand or gets aggressive.
On to the next hand. Action is on, Hartigan. 5-4 offsuit.
Off the folds,
Not
it's over to
play.
William. Folds as well. Chris is on the button.
Folded to the button. Chris
Action's on
Kuykendall.
him.
Ace-6.
Well, this should be an interesting spot. I mean, normally he folds him on the button. He's got a good stack of chips. He's got an ace. He's going to make the raise. But the thing is, he's got David Pham in the big blind. And if I'm him, I'm worried that David's going to re-raise no matter what he has.
Well, in this instance, he's actually got a hand, and he's just going to call.
2 players in the pot.
And that's actually, if you know David and you've played with him a lot, that's a big clue. That he just called means he actually has a hand.
3 hearts, king of clubs,
You know, in a
king of
circumstance like
spades.
this.
David's first to act. He checks.
Got a bad flop, though.
Chris
King,
checks.
3, they're both going to be a little scared of that flop.
Yeah, they both check.
King of
Another
hearts
king.
on the turn.
Well, now all of a sudden they're not scared at all. They were super scared of the other guy having a king, and now they're not worried about it at all.
Jack of clubs on the river.
Time for David to make a value bet and hope he gets called.
Made his full house on the river.
I think Kuykendall's going to have a hard time not calling this bet unless it's too big, because he's going to be thinking my ace high is still good so often here.
David bets 175,000.
175,000.
And he bets there with a little extra emphasis, like, you should look at this and think I'm bluffing and that I'm using that emphasis to scare you. You know, a little reverse psychology that's relatively common in the poker world.
And this is one of those situations where it would be totally understandable if Chris Kuykendall were to call.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But at the same time, it'd be really impressive if he did get away from the hand.
If he folds here, it's either a great laydown or he's being a total wimp. And, you know, most people, most of the time, are going to call here. If you know David, you know there's a good chance that he's just bluffing because you've shown so much weakness. If you don't know David, you're still going to think, the guy's checked and checked and checked, and now he finally bets. What are the chances he has anything? Versus he's just decided I don't have anything, and I actually have an ace high that he doesn't put me on. He doesn't give me credit for ace high. You see, not an easy decision, and I don't blame him for sweating this one out a bit to try to determine what to do. But, you know, if I'm sitting there against David in this situation, I'm going to probably call most of the time because I'm going to think there's, you know, at least a 50% chance I'm against a queen high, a 10
And that's
high.
what he's done. He's made the call, and he's going to see that David Pham had ace jack.
Yep. Gives him kings full of jacks. All right.
175.
Throwing him $175.
Pot of 720,000 gets sent across to the Dragon.
Yep. And look at all those chips. He's getting more. Best hand. He gets the hand to play out so that he wins some money. The only thing that would have worked better for David is an ace high flop. Then he wins probably a lot more.
I would have called, I think.
Yeah, the other players at the table saying they would have called in that situation as well with the same cards.
Early, remember? I'm not scared to play for all my
So I think Alpaya said I wouldn't call. I think he's trying to like slam Kuykendall a little bit, like, you know, wear him down, you know, make him doubt his self-confidence.
Oh, mind games.
Could be.
Action's on William Thorson. He's got pocket fours.
William's going to raise. He makes it 150,000 to go.
150,000.
Looks like he has maybe 800,000 left in his stack after that bet.
Chris folds, Christian folds.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, 700,000, 900,000.
Trying to get that side cross to him, though.
Now, we've seen David Pham do this with his chips before and then fold his hand, but not on this occasion. And that's why he's got pocket aces and just calling.
Again, that's the lesson. In a spot like this, if David doesn't have a hand and he's going to play it at all, then he's going to play it aggressively to take it down before the flop. But when he has the big hand, he's trapping his opponents. And he's hoping that they're going to misread his aggressive post-flop play as bluffing.
696.
That's the flop that's going to keep Thorson in, because now...
And he says all in.
Exactly.
He's going to get called.
He's all in?
Yes, he's all in, and David Pham does indeed call. And William Thorson is on the brink of being eliminated. He's on the brink of being our final table bubble boy.
And he did nothing wrong on the hand either. I mean,
it's not a bad flop for a pair of fours.
Well, exactly. It's actually a much worse flop if it was like 6, 7, 9. Because now there's 3 different cards your opponent might be holding that would have outflopped you by making a higher pair. Here, there's only 2 cards, a 6 or a 9, that could have him beat, because he's not going to give Pham credit for a big pocket pair.
William Thorson needs to hit a 4 on the river or he's gone. Only a 4 can save him.
All right, river card, please. Of 7
no,
of hearts
he's out.
on the river,
David
giving
Pham
David
takes
the
his
winning
chips. He
hand,
eliminates
aces
William
and
Thorson of
sixes.
Sweden. He finishes in 9th place. And that means we have our final table. William Thorson will get $120,000 for finishing 9th. But the other 8 are celebrating with their friends in the crowd because they know tomorrow they'll be competing for the trophy, the title, and the first prize of $2 million. And David Pham will go into that final table as chip leader, 7.4 million. Chris Kuykendall's had a great birthday. He finishes the day 2nd in chips, just over 3 million. The short stack is Christian Harder, just under $1 million, but still plenty of play in this game.
It's going to be hard to overcome David Pham's lead, though. 1/3 of the chips and more experience than the rest of the final table put together.
Began with 1,136 players, and now we have just 8 left. 6 Americans, a Brit and a Frenchman. They'll all return for the final of the PCA. Be sure to join us to see who wins that treasure chest containing $2 million, plus a rather fetching cutlass. Shiver my timbers. Arrgh!